Welcome, 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 everybody. Just letting people in and we'll get started in just a moment. I'm just taking in all these beautiful faces. Some old, some new. Glad to see all of you. So, thank you so much for being here. Today is the Autumn Alignment Workshop. So, we're heading into a new season and a new energy, and we're going to talk about the different things that come up as a result of that. So just letting in a few more people here. We can start if everybody wants to just maybe chime in on the chat and just let me know where you're from. And if there's any particular goal that feels really important to you this season, I would love to hear that too. So we can just kind of channel a little bit of the energy or the focus toward that today for you as well. Let's see who we got here. All right. All right. So autumn alignment. Here we go. So anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Theresa Lear Levine. We've probably been talking on DMs or on Instagram or via text or something like that. And I am an EFT master practitioner, a hypnotic communicator, an ADHD entrepreneur, and a mom of 4 boys. And I'm also going to be your guide for the next hour as we work on alignment and energy shifts and different abundance upgrades. And if you've been on previous workshops of mine before, when we talk about abundance, we're not just talking about money, although we can certainly be talking about that too. We're talking about all the different areas of our life that are important to us: the health, the wealth, the relationships, and the abundance that we desire in any or every one of those areas. So, again, I'm excited to see where you guys are tuning in from. If you want to drop it in the chat, and gosh, we got people from all over the place. All right. Kim's interested in getting better at communicating. Awesome. Barb from Albuquerque. We've got Gina from California, Ashley from Northern Wisconsin, Michelle's tuning in from Canada, Alicia from Florida, looking to align with abundance. Yes, yes, yes. Leah's from North Carolina with goals of visibility, making connections in the community and her profession. Susie, Washington State, Northwest Washington State. Yes. Ooh, foothills of the Cascade Mountains. Sounds beautiful, Susie. Mike's from Minnesota, Nicolette from Massachusetts. We got people all over the US and Canada, it sounds like today. So that's really awesome. And we're gonna go through some different things today to help with these seasonal shifts that we have, because the season that we're in right now, that we're entering in just the next few days, as we have the autumn equinox, fall, it has this particular energy, right? Think about it, like summer, coming out of summer, which is expansive, it's playful, it's even kind of scattered, right? Our routines loosen a little bit, our energy gets spread around, and then September hits. And it's like, whether you're in school, whether you have kids are in school, does not matter. The school year begins and something in the air shifts, right? Like the light changes and our brains start craving structure again. And this is built in because of the way that we're conditioned and programmed from our own years, formative years going through school. There's even research showing that fall is this natural reset point for our nervous systems. The cooler weather signals this return to focus, right? And the school year creates what psychologists call a temporal landmark, this moment where we get a fresh start. Spoiler alert, fresh starts are available to us every day, but for some reason it just feels particularly strong this time of year. And so at that same time, I just want to make sure we're moving ahead on those slides there, Camille. I got Camille doing my slides here for us. At the same time, fall can stir up a sense of, pressure, right? Because we've entered that final quarter of the year, right? And for many of us, it starts to feel like the last chapter in the story that we promised ourselves we would write back in January, especially if we made beginning of the year goals. So for a lot of people, that realization creates stress. And it's centered around a story and a thought, as most of our stress is. I said this was gonna be my year. I was gonna do this thing, right? And now, gosh, it's almost over. We're already seeing things come out for the holidays that aren't happening until December, and we're realizing things like the end of the year is near, right? And if you're like me, ADHD entrepreneur, multitasker brain, that pressure can trigger self-sabotage, procrastination, overthinking, hustling in these kind of circular patterns without feeling like you're making moves forward. Anybody relate to that? Who here has like a pretty intimate relationship with self-sabotage or procrastination? You just type me in the chat so I know I'm not alone here. I see some waving hands. Yes. Okay, good. Speaking to people that understand this. So this was my cycle for sure. And it's something that I think any and all of us have a relationship with for our life. So it's understanding it and bringing awareness to it that I think really makes the shift. There was a time for me, and maybe you felt this too, where I was doing all the things, launching things. I was like up late nights trying to get things done, early mornings to try to do things before the kids would get up. There was like that ADHD chaos just kind of like baked in. 4 kids underfoot, much younger then. My nervous system was fried, right? I didn't even understand, honestly, at that time that I'm thinking of how important my nervous system was in being able to have momentum, traction, or capacity to move forward. It was this unknown thing to me, why it mattered so much. I just figured if I knew how to do things and what to do, that was all that mattered. But then I would continuously be blocked, right? Um, my mind was on this constant overdrive. And of course, I had this vision for my life. I always have been big on vision, big goals, legacy, boxes to check, family and futures to nurture. But instead of moving forward with joy and pleasure, and if anybody's been in my circle for more than a few minutes, you know that pleasure fueled success is my thing. There's a whole course on it in the school environment that you can check out. But I know now through years of experimentation how much better pleasure is at helping us get things done than pressure and hustling. So I found myself stuck in these cycles of stress, overthinking, and overwhelm. And then I made one counterintuitive shift. Okay. It was just like a tiny step at first. I started focusing less on pushing harder and more on aligning my energy. Okay. As much as my nervous system would kind of let me allow without it getting too uncomfortable, because it was very uncomfortable at first. I was conditioned to hustle, to prove myself, to figure it all out and do it myself, right? But as I began to study the nervous system and the subconscious mind and the science of energy, I realized something that was just very profound. I realized that the self-sabotage and these patterns had nothing to do with anything in me being broken, but rather it was my body and my brain running on old safety patterns, protective patterns. And what it brought forward was an opportunity to choose again. Okay, kind of like the fresh starts, we can always choose again. And when I learned how to shift those patterns through practices that I have gotten quite well acquainted with and use in my business all the time, like EFT and hypnotherapy and other daily alignment rituals, everything began to change. And we're going to do some of those things and try some of those things here today so that you can feel and experience some actionable change as well. Okay. So I started experimenting with things like recording my desires, tapping on my fears, visualizing the future that I wanted. And I watched as what seemed like the impossible began to become normal. Okay. I watched as this new awareness, this elevated consciousness charted new paths, both in my life and my business, and I inevitably in my neural pathways, because that's how this change really comes to be. So, for instance, during this time that I'm talking about, I noticed as it was like within months, things like the house that we were living in, the vacations that we had wanted to go on that we thought, gosh, that's just not going to happen this year, different income goals and relationship upgrades within both my marriage and my parenting, and even my friendships and my, immediate family relationships. Those upgrades all came into being. And it wasn't because I worked harder. It was because I worked differently. I stopped fighting myself and I started aligning with myself. And so many of us are just not conditioned to be easy with ourselves. And that gentleness can bring so much traction to the things that you actually want to bring into your world. One of the things that has been kind of a mantra for me over the years is that success doesn't always lead to happiness, but happiness always leads to success. And that's one of the kind of guiding things that keeps me always looking for ways to have pleasure fueled success in my life, joy fueled success in my life. Because without that, it's really kind of hollow and empty, right? So, too often when we focus on specific outcomes, details, money, the person we feel like is missing from our life, or maybe even the parts of our health that we feel like we're neglecting or need a boost. And we feel like if we just put an emphasis on what would truly make us happy, then that's actually like what would align, right? And that's why we're here today, because you don't need to hustle your way into health, wealth, abundance. You just shift your energy, okay? The patterns in your body, the beliefs in your mind, the way you show up in your daily patterns, rituals, habits, okay? So today I'm going to show you how to begin that process so that you can finish this year or any year calmer, clearer, and more abundant than before, okay? Here's the thing, in times when I have been stuck in sabotage, it always felt like I was the problem. Like if I could just get more disciplined, try harder, fix this scattered brain of mine, then I would finally like get ahead. You know, this idea that we're not where we're supposed to be, right? Which is total BS. And I'll bet some of you may already be groaning that like we're not going to learn some like masculine productivity hack today or some way to overcome self-sabotage like David Goggins style or whatever. And that's your egos trying to keep control when your timeless soul knows that there is a better and easier way. Okay? I just challenge you to feel into the truth of that. Because the truth is, self-sabotage is not who you are. Procrastination is not who you are. It's just a pattern in your nervous system, and it's running behind the scenes, and it's pervasive, okay? It's a protection loop. Your brain is wired for safety. It's not wired for success. So anytime it senses risk, whether you're starting a new project, asking for more money, raising prices, setting a boundary, hits the brakes, okay? And sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes that looks like you're, cleaning out that odds and ends drawer in the kitchen or your sock drawer instead of like hitting publish on a new offer or a post, or maybe you decide today's the day to like bake the perfect macaron instead of doing your taxes, and this is not because you're broken, right? It's because on some level, your body thinks it's protecting you, okay? But here's the exciting part. Once you get to see sabotage as a pattern and not a personal failure, you get to start to shift it. You can change it. So that's what today's about. I'm going to walk you through a framework that makes this simple and makes it doable, okay? Even if you've struggled with it for years, okay? I call it the shift framework because it literally helps you shift in the moment from stress and stuckness into clarity, momentum, and aligned action, okay? So I want to break it down with you. And this is going to change the way that you relate to self-sabotage. So most people think that sabotage means they're doing something wrong. They're not disciplined enough, whatever the case may be. It's not the truth. We have that old pattern, and this is going to help you to move from that stuckness to more aligned action. So when we're looking at this shift framework, the first letter of shift is S, right? So S in this case is going to stand for spot the pattern, okay? When sabotage shows up, it usually feels like procrastination, overthinking, distraction, or shutting down, okay? Might even feel like numbing in some cases. It's not random. It's like I said before, it's that safety mechanism. So, if any of you have read like Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule, she talks about how in 5 seconds flat, the brain can kill any new idea and keep you in comfort, right? And then, if any of you have read the book The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, he talks about how your body literally remembers stress and reacts before you even think. It's quick. It's really, really quick. So the first step is to spot the pattern. It's amazing how big of a difference maker awareness is. Okay. Literally, when I was on my group call earlier this week with my clients, almost everybody's win had to do with an area of their life where their awareness allowed them to respond differently instead of react. And another noticing or awareness of what a difference that made in that area of their life, how these patterns were beginning to break for them. So it's definitely not something to be discounted, awareness. So if you want to spot the pattern for yourself, let's just try this for a second. If you feel comfortable, or if you're in a place where you can do it, obviously if you're not driving or something, close your eyes if you're in a comfortable place to do that. And just ask yourself the question, when I sabotage myself, where do I feel it in my body? And just let an answer come to you. Do you feel it in your chest? Do you get butterflies? Is there tension in your jaw? Where do you feel it in your body? Feel free to pop it in the chat if you want to share, but naming what you feel and what happens is a really good first step for awareness with that. Okay, I'm gonna check up on the chat here because I haven't been looking at it. Forehead and chest, okay. Chest and shoulders. Butterflies in the tummy right now. Usually anger though. Yeah, that's such a great awareness. Such a great awareness. Chest and stomach, throat and hips, tight jaw and stomach dropping like on a ride. How interesting. And like, what if you could actually just reframe it that it is just a ride? I don't know. So cool. The next letter in the shift acronym, okay? So the next letter is H. And in this case, this stands for harness the body, okay? Too often we leave the body out of the equation. We think we're trying to do things, be productive, get a thing done. What does this have to do with it? A lot, okay? You cannot outthink sabotage, procrastination, etc. The things that are basically standing in the way of you becoming the person that you want to be and accomplishing the things that are important to you, okay? You have to go through the body first. So Peter Levine, who is not actually a relative of mine, created somatic experiencing, and he talks about how you have to like discharge the survival energy that's stuck in the nervous system. Okay. So you can think about that. It's kind of easy sometimes if you're in the middle of like one of these moments where you're procrastinating, or you can just feel that resistance. It can be as simple as just kind of like putting a hand over your chest, taking a deep breath. We can just do this together. Just put your hand over your chest and take a big deep breath in, maybe through your nose, and then like an audible sigh out through your mouth. Okay. And just that one breath, and it has a way of helping you to discharge a little bit of that survival energy and get back into your body. Okay. And even like just micro tapping. Like, I don't know how many of you here are familiar with the practice of EFT. If you've come to my workshops or if you've explored the school resources, you've probably tapped along with me on another video or in another workshop. But with tapping, and we're going to do some together, a more complete version of this later in the workshop, but we're using the ancient Chinese medicine and acupuncture points along with modern day psychology to discharge energetic blockages so that we feel better. So even just a quick tapping on the sides of your hands or on these points on the top of your head while you state what's going on, even though I feel overwhelmed, I choose to come back into my body and it's safe for me to pause. Something as simple as that can help interrupt the pattern. See, and that was just literally a breath and 10 seconds of tapping. And it can bring your awareness to a different level where you can choose differently. And that kind of thing alone, and it sounds so silly, right? That kind of thing can prevent you from going on a 45-minute TikTok scroll or losing your time to some, binge watching Netflix or something instead of doing what you want to do. It can bring you back to what matters and help you choose differently. So silly as it might sound, or minuscule as it might sound, it can be a big difference maker. So let's move to the I in shift, which is interrupt the script. Okay? Because sabotage isn't just physical, it's mental, right? We have an inner script that runs when we're about to take action. Maybe it's something like, oh, I'll just fail anyway, or I don't have enough time, or it's not going to work for me. Your mind always does what it thinks you want it to do. Okay? If you keep feeding it old commands, your mind's just going to keep obeying them. And this is why our negative self-talk and our subconscious patterns are so important to break through. And this is why I adore hypnotherapy, because for me and for a lot of my clients, it has been a big difference maker when it comes to changing these subconscious loops. So if you have a pen or a writing surface or something, maybe you just write right now the first sabotaging thought that comes up for you normally. Feel free to share it in the chat too. I'm guessing there probably are going to be a lot of similarities between what a lot of people have as their sabotaging thoughts, or usually are. And usually at the heart of most of them is some kind of an idea that you're not enough in some capacity. Okay. So yeah, once you have that written down, then ask yourself, what is a more empowering truth? Okay. So for example, if you say something like, I'll fail anyway, like I mentioned before, then maybe you might say, well, how about what if every small step I take builds momentum? I always like the subconscious questions too. If you were at last month's workshop, when we talked about frequency fueled manifestation, we talked a lot about the power of subconscious questions. So even if you reframe that into, what would it take for these steps that I'm taking to build momentum? And then guess what happens? Your subconscious mind looks for those answers instead of looking for reasons why you'll fail anyway. So you can send your mind on a hunt one way or another. Let it hunt for something that you want instead of something that you don't. So yeah, some good ones here in the chat. I don't feel like it. Yeah. You can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. Gotcha. I can't do it. ADHD distraction or lack of time management. What's wrong with you? There's some other people chiming in, they feel that way too. Yeah, these are all like super common, right? So what might you say that would be different than that? And then so here's how these things start to come together. You start to repattern with things like this, and then because of what you did with S in spotting the pattern, you start to notice. And then you have these moments. I had this happen with one of my clients the other day, and she messaged me, and it was one of those things where she was used to telling herself like, oh, you're so stupid and that kind of stuff when she would do something and it wasn't working out. And instead she caught herself saying, I forget how she put it. Oh, what it was like a very British way of putting it, and I'm going to get it wrong. And it was so cute, but it came down to pretty much like, I'm freaking brilliant. And that's what came out both in her mind and from her mouth at the same time. But then she had the wherewithal to notice, oh, this is totally a place where I would have said previously, oh, you're so stupid. And instead, I said this. So without the awareness, the shifts don't matter a whole lot. Okay. So then we want to move on to the F here. Okay. Our F in the shift acronym is focus forward. Okay. Once you've interrupted that old pattern, your job is to point your energy forward. Okay. I know a lot of you have read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Okay. And that's one where he teaches that, small identity-based actions stack up into massive change, which is totally true. So instead of asking, what big thing do I have to achieve? Just ask, who do I want to be in this next moment? And align yourself with becoming that person. Okay. So again, if you're in a place and space where closing your eyes is comfortable and you want to, then just close your eyes for a moment and visualize yourself at the end of this week. We're pretty much there, depending on what you look at as the end of the week. Um, and imagine yourself having let go of overwhelm. Imagine yourself having finished one aligned thing that you've been putting off. And just feel the relief and the pride in your body. This is focusing forward, and this is aligning with the energy of the wish fulfilled, which is what magnetizes it in real time into our present moments. This is why we do visualizations. This is why we kind of come up with all of those. It's interesting because we come up with all these details and things so that we can connect better to what we want to manifest into our lives. But then we actually need to detach from those cursed hows and details and things in order to bring it in. So the details and the imagining is really about creating the emotion that dials up your frequency and your vibration so that you can align with what you want or better. Okay, so focus forward. And then the last letter in shift is T. So this is where we're going to train. We're going to train it in. We're going to train consistency. Okay, because this last step is where the magic kind of compounds. Okay. I'm a big Joe Dispenza fan. He says that when you emotionally rehearse a new reality every day, that is where you literally rewire your subconscious. Okay. So, like, kind of what we just did with that visualization. And that's a rehearsal. Okay. So, this final step is to train consistency. Instead of waiting for motivation, don't do that, guys. It's the best way to like never start anything. Anchor a daily ritual that rewires your nervous system. Okay. It could look like 10 minutes a day of tapping or some breath work or listening to a hypnotic audio or doing your own visualization or even the vision casting process that I laid out in last month's workshop. And just imagine if you practice this shift process just once a day for like the next week. How different would your energy, how different would your results be and feel in just that short period of time? Okay, so that's shift. And I want to go through just another area here because I want to give you some context. If you've ever felt like you sabotage yourself no matter how much you want to succeed, there is a reason for that, okay? And it has nothing to do with your willpower or your discipline or that motivation. It has everything to do with the way your nervous system, subconscious mind, and body are wired to keep you safe. Okay, so I want to teach you just one more simple framework before we go into doing some EFT and a little hypnotic visualization together that just show you how to kind of reset it for the season. Okay, I call this the nest method. So the word nest, the first letter in that is N. So this is where we look at the nervous system first. Okay. And the nervous system is super important, kind of like I mentioned before. This is your body's alarm system. And when it senses pressure, overwhelm, uncertainty, it hits the brakes. All these new things that you say you want in your life, in your relationships, with your health, in your business, whatever the case may be, they're new. And they are going to trigger these responses, whether that's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or any of the other Fs that I have also covered on previous workshops. So that's why when the year's coming towards the end, right? We've got that Q4 pressure rising. Many of us procrastinate or we start to kind of spin in anxiety. It's biology. Okay. So in practice, regulation needs to come first. Okay? Whatever you're doing to regulate your nervous system, to heighten your awareness, to elevate your consciousness, that needs to come first. It could be EFT tapping like we're going to be doing today. It could be, and we'll do a little bit of this today, kind of like havening, just getting back into the body. Things that calm your system so that you can think clearly. Okay. It's huge. The E in nest is engage. Okay. So engage the subconscious. Okay. the subconscious matters as much as the nervous system. 95% of your daily actions are run by your subconscious programming. Okay, this encompasses your old beliefs, your childhood conditioning, any repeated thought patterns. It's all subconscious and it's firing off and running without you even thinking about it. Okay? And it doesn't even need to be true, right? It's just stuff that you soaked up like a sponge when you were most likely under the age of 10. So, if you've ever said, I know what I should do, but I still don't do it, anybody? That is the subconscious overriding conscious intention. Okay. So EFT and hypnotherapy speak the language of the subconscious, which is what makes the kind of change that they can create faster and deeper than things like willpower, which tend to fade. And when willpower fades, then what, right? The S in nest is somatic release and repatterning. Okay? Because stress and trauma don't just live in your mind, they live in your body. Okay? Until you move it, it stays. So that, tight jaw or that feeling in your chest or wherever else it's coming, like you're dropping on a ride or whatever, maybe it's just scattered ADHD type energy. That's how it's showing up in your body. That is how the procrastination, the sabotage, the stall, that's how it's showing up in your body. Okay. So again, things like the EFT tapping, even just shaking, sometimes just like shaking your body out, just taking a moment to just kind of shake or dance or something can be really helpful. Movement, breath, all of that can help discharge some of that stress and anchor new patterns so that your shifts can last and so that they can take form. I'm sure you guys have all seen those, I don't know, like videos or things where an animal gets chased by a predator or whatever, like a bunny rabbit or whatever. And then as soon as it gets to a safe place, it just shakes. It's just discharging all of that energy and coming back into a regulated nervous system again. And it's really important. It happens in nature and animals are good at doing it. And we can learn something from that. So, all right, then we go to the T, right? So we have one more letter here in nest, and then we're going to go into some actual practices that we can do together. So this is where we're again training that new identity, okay? Because once the nervous system is calm, and the nervous system doesn't just get calm and stay calm, guys. You're going to have to learn to work with your nervous system and work with it regularly. Dysregulation is common, and once you can kind of learn how to do that and get your subconscious on board and the body more clear, then you're in a place where it's time to really future cast who you're becoming. So you might be kind of entering into like visualizing a moment in Q4, and instead of seeing it as pressure to do more, maybe you can see it as an invitation to step into your next identity now. Okay. Because if not now, when? Like we always love to put it like, then I'll do this or I'll do this when, but tomorrow literally never comes. Okay. And I have watched people on so many occasions push things off. I mean, there's so many people I've been talking to for years that are working on different things. And literally sometimes years pass and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that in like 3 more months. It's like, well, that's what you said last year at this time. So it's like, when are you going to do the thing? So here's where you can train your new identity using things like visualization. If you like to journal, journaling can be great. I know in my work with a lot of people who are very busy-minded or ADHD a lot of the times, journaling is like love hate. Some people love to do it, some people hate to do it. I am a very inconsistent journaler if I'm trying to like do major journaling. But I personally find that like a notes app kind of thing where I just drop in a little thing here and there, that works very well for me. And voice note journaling, that also works very well for me, especially with the ability to, use transcription services and things like that to access it and utilize it if I need to at a later time. So, but if I have to actually sit down and write, I find that my brain moves way faster than a pen on paper, and I get frustrated. So I don't know if anybody else experiences that. Fahreen says so much resistance to journaling. All right, you're my people. That's I get that. Um, so yeah, so that's the NEST method, right? Nervous system, subconscious, somatic release, training identity. Okay. This is how you combat sabotage. Okay. And I hate to even say like combat or fight it because, like I said before, this is protective. Like there's so much that's actually valuable about why and how we procrastinate and sabotage. And when we can like judge ourselves a little bit less about it, then we can bring in that awareness and we can move the patterns with so much more grace and compassion than if we're just beating ourselves up for like, oh, I didn't do the thing again. What's wrong with me? And I'll just fail anyway. And it's not for me. And I don't know what to do. We fall into victim mode and then nothing gets done. So, all right. Alicia said the same thing. I feel the same. Brain is faster than hands. Yep, exactly my thoughts. Cool. Glad I'm not alone there. So now that we understand how the nervous system, the subconscious mind, and the body all work together, let's like move this from theory into practice, okay? Because it's one thing to know that sabotage is a pattern, right? But the real shift happens when we actually can feel it releasing in our bodies, okay? That's what makes change stick. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a round of EFT tapping, and then I'm going to drop you guys into a little visualization, and we're going to see what shifts and changes in that time for you guys. Okay. So, all right, we'll do this together. If I could get one person who is willing to unmute and just mirror me, if you've done EFT before, great. Darren will do it. Awesome. Be my girl, Darren. Thank you.
Of
Um,
course.
So that just helps me because otherwise I end up saying the lines and I end up trying to estimate, like, did everybody get through it? And everybody's on mute and I feel weird. So what I want you to do, all right, I'm gonna do this EFT tapping first. So this round of EFT tapping that we're gonna do, based on what we talked about so far, is going to be about like releasing overwhelm and resistance to really like finishing this year strong. And that could mean different things to different people. So I want you guys to focus on what matters to you. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up with kind of how this lands with us as far as a number is concerned. Okay, it's called the subjective units of distress scale. It's no different than when you go to your doctor and if you have a physical pain and they ask you to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, how much does it, bother you? Okay, so we're just doing that with how this idea lands. So how intense does the pressure or overwhelm feel for you right now when you think about finishing the year strong? And I want you to insert there whether that means accomplishing a certain goal, whatever that means to you, okay? I know it's a pretty vague statement, but I want you to think specifically about what's important to you right now to achieve before year end. And then how intense does the pressure or overwhelm feel for you right now when you think about that thing or those things? 0 to 10, with 10 being the most. And then write your numbers down. If you want to share them in the chat, that would be great. I'm actually going to ask you to share your numbers again when we're done. So just make sure you have it written down somewhere for yourself so that when we finish, you can say like, oh, I went from a 10 to a 1 or whatever the thing is, because I need to see both numbers together at the end, if that makes sense. That's what helps me to see the impact that was made overall. So, all right, let's see what we got here. We've got, yeah, Sylvia, we need compassion for self, not beratement, for sure. And that inner voice normally goes to more of the beratement for so many of us, like automatically, even though we would never talk to somebody else that way, right? Let's see, Kathy's at a 10. Nines, eight, sevens, nines. We got high numbers. Cool. That means we're on a topic that matters. I would say if we've got a high number to start with an EFT round, then we're on the right track because we're working on something that matters to us that's got some kind of an energetic charge that we need to resolve, right? So, all right, Darren, I'm going to have you repeat after me and we will do this. So just take a deep breath. And for anybody that hasn't tapped before, you're just gonna tap the same spots I'm tapping. I'm not sure how much of me on camera. When I get down here, it's just under my arm, basically on the side of my body. Everything else you should be able to see on the camera pretty easily. Doesn't matter which side, left, right. If you have two of them, you can do both, you can do one. It's all good, okay? No way to do it wrong. Here we go. Even though I feel so much pressure to do more before the end of the year,
Even though I feel so much pressure to do more before the end of the year,
choose to meet myself with compassion and acceptance right now.
I choose to meet myself with compassion and acceptance right now.
Even though there's part of me that resists starting,
Even though there's part of me that resists starting.
maybe I'm afraid it won't be enough,
Maybe I'm afraid it won't be enough,
or I won't be enough.
or I won't be enough.
I honor that part,
I honor that part,
and I'm open to new possibilities.
and I'm open to new possibilities.
Even though I feel this mix of overwhelm, pressure, and resistance,
Even though I feel this mix of overwhelm, pressure, and resistance.
I'm learning that it's safe to release this energy
I'm learning that it is safe to release this energy
and to create success from a calm place.
and to create success from a calm place.
As we go through these points, guys, if you want to make something more specific based on your goals, just add to the statements, okay? Specificity and EFT go very well together. All right. All this weight from these unfinished goals,
All this weight from these unfinished goals,
all this pressure to make my time count,
all this pressure to make my time count,
make this year count.
make this year count.
So many expectations I've put on myself.
So many expectations I've put on myself,
And it feels like time is running out.
and it feels like time is running out.
Stress in my body, buzzing in my mind.
Stress in my body, buzzing in my mind.
I don't feel like I can do it all, and it scares me.
I don't feel like I can do it all, and it scares me.
This resistance is holding me back.
This resistance is holding me back.
And I feel it in my chest and my shoulders, everywhere.
And I feel it in my chest and my shoulders, everywhere.
What if I don't have to carry all this pressure?
What if I don't have to carry all of this pressure?
What if I can simply breathe into this moment?
What if I can simply breathe into this moment?
Maybe I don't have to do it all at once.
Maybe I don't have to do it all at once.
Couldn't if I wanted to.
I couldn't if I wanted to.
Maybe it's possible that I can release the weight of this.
Maybe it's possible that I can release the weight of this.
I'm open to letting go of the belief that it has to be hard.
I'm open to letting go of the belief that it has to be hard.
As I soothe my nervous system and calm my mind,
As I soothe my nervous system and calm my mind.
I'm opening to clarity and focus.
I am opening to clarity and focus.
Giving myself permission to find ease in this process.
Giving myself permission to find ease in this process.
I'm so much safer than I believed I was.
I am so much safer than I believed I was.
To finish this year strong and in my own way.
to finish this year strong and in my own way.
I'm creating momentum from a place of peace and power.
I am creating momentum from a place of peace and power
As I choose aligned action over overwhelm.
as I choose aligned action over overwhelm.
I can already feel new energy flowing through me.
I can already feel new energy flowing through me.
I can see myself moving forward with clarity.
I can see myself moving forward with clarity.
I notice how this new vision feels empowering and real.
And notice how this new vision feels empowering and real.
Stepping into abundance, alignment, and flow.
Stepping into abundance, alignment, and flow.
Allowing it to even just be 5% safer.
Allowing it to even be 5% safer.
And choosing to allow it to be safer to succeed.
And choosing to allow it to be safer to succeed.
All right, everybody, take a deep inhale through your nose. Blow it out through your mouth. And just gently rub your arms. Give yourself a hug. This is kind of a havening motion, as if you're just soothing away some of those last layers of stress. And just feel your nervous system relaxing a bit. Feel your body opening. Feel your mind softening. And allow your eyes to just close down once again. Okay? Let yourself drift inward. You've just released some heavy weight, right? Let's plant in something new into that space. Okay? I want you to imagine yourself 3 months from now. It's about the end of the year, right? Very end of this year. You're standing there in December with a calm smile on your face, feeling proud, feeling clear, feeling abundant. You did it. You shifted your energy and you finished the year stronger than you imagined even just a few months earlier. And let's take a journey into that vision even deeper together now. I want you to feel whatever you're sitting on, a chair beneath you, ground beneath you, whatever's supporting you. I want you to notice the rhythm of your breath. Steady, natural, calming. With every exhale, I want you to imagine tension just melting away, okay? Your shoulders soften and drop. Your jaws releasing. Even your belly is just relaxing. Every breath carries you deeper into comfort, deeper into yourself. And imagine a gentle breeze just brushing and blowing across and over your skin. Cool, refreshing, grounding. With each breath, that breeze clears away any last traces of stress, leaving you lighter, clearer, more open. As you settle in, picture yourself standing on a path lined with golden leaves, autumn leaves. The air is crisp, the light is softer, the season is inviting you to let go of what no longer serves you, just as the trees let go of their leaves. Ahead of you on this path, you see two versions of yourself. To your left, the one who stays in old patterns. This one is stressed and scattered and just second guessing and stalling. To your right, the one who has shifted. They're grounded, focused, abundant, aligned. Notice the difference in each of their energy. Notice their posture, their eyes, the way they carry themselves. And now begin walking toward the aligned version of you, step by step, leaf by leaf. And imagine arriving again at the end of the year, the end of December. See yourself in that moment, calm, proud, peaceful. Look around. Where are you? What have you accomplished that you feel matters most? How do you feel knowing that you ended the year feeling more aligned instead of scattered? Notice the details. Maybe it's a completed project. Maybe it's a new level of income. Maybe it's deeper relationships or stronger health habits. Whatever comes to mind is perfect. Your subconscious is showing you exactly what you need. Take a moment to step fully into this December year-end version of you. Feel their clarity, their gratitude, their momentum, and breathe in their confidence. And let it fill every cell of your body. As you stand in this future self, repeat silently in your mind, I'm safe to succeed. I move with calm, clear energy. I finish this year strong, aligned, abundant, at peace. Feel those words as they move through your nervous system, locking in like roots beneath a tree, just steady and unshakable. With every breath, this state becomes more natural, more familiar, more yours. And now, keeping that aligned December vision within you, imagine gently walking back along the autumn path, carrying that energy into today. Notice how much lighter you feel, how much more possible everything seems, because you've already connected to the version of you who made it happen. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and with each number, bring back with you the calm, focus, and abundance you've just anchored. On the count of 1, feeling grounded in your body. On the count of 2, taking a deep breath, energy flowing freely. On the count of 3, wiggle your fingers and your toes, feeling refreshed. On the count of 4, opening your heart to aligned action. And on the count of 5, eyes open when you're ready, fully present, carrying your December vision with you today. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Take another deep breath in. Let your body soften. And once more, filling up your lungs and releasing them fully. I want you all to check back in with yourself, okay? Same scale of 0 to 10 that we did before. And again, if you can use your number from first and say if you went from an 8 to a 4 or whatever, just put that both of those numbers in the chat. How intense does the pressure or overwhelm feel for you right now when you think about finishing the year strong? Where is everyone right now? Let me check the chat here. Where did my chat window go? There it is. Okay. All right. Beautiful. So we have Leah went from a 7 to a 2. Kim's down to a 4. Alicia a 9 to 5. Kathy, Kathy's off the scale. She was an 18 apparently before we started. So way to go, Kathy. That was a huge drop down to 4. Michelle 9 to a 4. Ashley 8 to a 4. Beautiful. Barb 8 to a 4. Thank you so much. Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. Kimberly an 8 or a 9 to a 4 or a 5. Oh, Barb, thank you. It was absolutely awesome. Appreciate that. Diane, 9 to 5. Got sick feeling in stomach. Not sure what happened. That's always interesting. There's probably something going on that's connected to that. Maybe some part of you that's not quite ready to move into that, or that's having a little bit of extra resistance. Always interesting to explore. All right, so beautiful work there. Before we kind of get to the end of this hour, I want to make sure I share a few important things with you guys as kind of, I never like to just leave you guys hanging after this with, oh, what do we do next? So, all right, we covered the shift framework today, right? Spot the pattern, harness the body, interrupt the script, focus forward, train the consistency, okay? We covered nest, so nervous system first, engage the subconscious, use somatic release, and train identity, okay? And then right now, we just finished working directly with your subconscious and nervous system with the EFT and that hypnotic visualization, okay? But this is literally just like scratching the surface, right? There's only so much we can do in an hour together. So if you're looking for more, there's a few places you can find me and you can find more. First would be, let's see, Instagram. I'm not sure if something changed with the way that you're sharing, Camille. It's like I could see like more than just the slide. Anyway, I'm on Instagram, so if you're not already following me there, at Theresa Lear Levine is a great place to learn more and to follow me there. And then if you're not already a member of the School community, that's SKOOL. On School, I have an awesome free community where there's tens of thousands of dollars worth of resources in the classroom there. Previous workshop replay. That's where the workshop replay from today will go for a limited time afterwards for people who didn't catch it. And we do a different workshop every month, and there's just great people in there too to bounce things off of. And you'll be the first to know about new things that are happening if you're in that community. So we have the School community, and then I don't know if you're able to share again, Camila, if something happened. Anyway, for those of you who are, feeling more serious about moving forward with things, we do have the Fall Abundance Reset that's happening directly after this today. And that's where we're actually going to work on releasing your number one limiting belief using hypnotherapy. We're going to do a full regressive hypnotherapy round. And I'm also going to be providing for those VIPs custom created EFT rounds, which will be created after a one-on-one call that is also part of it, where we will work on coming up with what your biggest blocks are and how to work through them. So if the shift and the nest process kind of gave you a taste of what's possible and just kind of touch the surface with the EFT and the hypno that we did today, like imagine what a full guided regressive hypnotherapy session, custom EFT, and some one-on-one coaching could do to move things forward. So if you're interested in moving forward with that, just type VIP in the chat. We can get you the link to check that out. And again, we're going to move right into another Zoom room right after this, where we're going to do that hypnotherapy. If for some reason you can't attend that live, all of the replays, both the VIP and the workshop, as well as a hypnotic audio that's set to binaural beats, those EFT rounds that we talked about, and the one-on-one, all of that's available after the fact too. So in that experience, we're going to use Camille, you can just go forward to some of the slides that have all the details on them, and that's fine. I think I kind of already went through them, but that's available if anybody wants that. It's just $97 and you're going to get all of that. It's an insane discount. And if anybody would like the link for that, we will put that in the chat. I know sometimes people can be shy about asking for extra help. Camille put that link in the chat for anybody that wants to look into that. If you're worried about, if you have to hop off again, there'll be replays. The custom EFT rounds will be delivered after the one-on-one call. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to type them into the chat as well. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we wrap up? Because I know we are kind of getting to the end here. And Camille did just drop that link in if anybody wants to join in last minute for the VIP experience. And if there aren't any particular questions, then we're going to wrap up. I'm thanking all of you for being here. Really appreciate it. It's always so good to see your faces, share the energy, and appreciate all the lovely comments and things that you guys shared today. Thank you all for your thanks and for being here. And oh, all right. So have an awesome rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. The replay will be up in a few hours. If you want to catch any of this again or do the hypnosis or EFT again, you'll be able to access that for a short period longer in the school community. So thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day.